Redditors who rage quit a job without thinking, what was the last straw?
After working 37 years, I requested a leave from work to care for my partner who was dying of cancer. I had 8 weeks of PTO time and was denied the request, so I quit to care for him in his last month of life.
I worked as a painter for a franchisee of a student painting company, and he kept telling me that he would pay me next week. This went on for about 6 weeks, and the final straw was when I had finished several large projects that would give him ample money to pay me, but he decided to hire on another person instead of paying me for all the work I had already done. Like $1,300 worth of work, then to try negotiating down what I thought I should be paying me, despite already having agreed in writing what I would be getting paid right from the get-go. I was so mad that I didn't give him notice or even show up for the next day of work because I had bills to pay and needed to make as much money as possible during the summer. I wrote him off as a lost cause and took him to small claims court for what he owed me and eventually got my money through the court. Still was a pain in the ass though, and as far as I know he's still working there full time.
I needed a summer job while in high school, so I applied at a local grocery store to bag stock clean. My first day there was some sort of confusion as to what I was supposed to to whom I was to report. I was sent to the front counter, where the customer service manager gave me a till and told me to open a register. Mind you, I'd had zero training on a register, I didn't even know how to put the till in it for fuck's sake. I told the lady this and was told to go do my job. Within about 2 minutes at the register there was a line several deep, and I'm just standing there with the till in my hands. The customer service lady comes storming over asking why I had such a line, and I tried again to explain to her that I was supposed to be a stalker or whatever and that I knew nothing about operating a register. She called me stupid in front of the customers, so I handed her the till and told her to go fuck herself. Walked down the street in my uniform and got a job at another grocery store.
I actually did this like 2 months ago for the first time. I'm a bartender and I was working in some shitty Mexican restaurant downtown. The tips were shit because the food was shit, so we were barely ever busy. So already I'm living in nick making barely $400 a week when I'm used to making more than double. At this point I've been there 2 months and I hate it more and more every day. Around this time my mother gets really bad pneumonia, and due to complications it degraded her heart, so she has to have open heart surgery to repair a valve. It's a risky procedure, and my mother is touching 65. Now, let me state that staff turnover was incredibly high because in addition to us making horrible money, the manager was a complete and utter moron. Most staff left after a month. So when my mom gives me a date for her surgery, I go to my manager and give her a basic breakdown of the situation and tell her I need 4 days off from X to Y so I can be with my family. She says no problem, but just to play it safe I send emails and texts to her confirming that I indeed do have these days off. She agrees. I think cool, no problem. Well, I was dead fucking wrong. 3 days before the surgery the schedule for the week comes out, and I'm scheduled through the entire week. I immediately go to my manager and ask what the fuck is up because I'm not wasting away behind this moldy, rat-infested bar in the West Village while my mom has surgery. No bullshit, this woman has the nerve to say I didn't request off at all. When I show her my paper trail stating that yes, I goddamned it put in a request, she says, what difference does it make if you're there? The surgery is going to have an outcome whether you're there or not. And starts to rattle off how I need to be a team player and I'm fucking up her shit by requesting off and yada yada. Her voice fades off and I literally see red. I say nothing and go back to work. This is at 5 p.m. Happy hour and our rush starts at 8. I'm the only bartender on today. Fast forward to 8:30. My bar is slammed, I have a bunch of drink tickets from the servers, and it's a mess. Total shit show. My manager comes behind the bar, and instead of offering any assistance, she tells me to not bring home drama to work. I stare at her in disbelief for a moment, truly stunned that such a tone-deaf moron could possibly be in charge of anything. I laughed in her stupid face and walked right out the door and went to go see my mom.
I used to work as a housekeeper at a really shady hotel. Wasn't the best job in the world, but the pay actually wasn't that bad. The owner and his wife were horrible to everyone, especially the housekeepers. I eventually worked my way to being the head housekeeper, but they kept referring to me as a maid. I don't know why that bothered me so much, but it did. Anyway, the rodeo was in town and we were really busy. I had every single room to clean, and none of my other housekeepers were showing up for work. So I asked my boss where they were and he said he gave them the day off. They're young and have stuff to do. They were all high schoolers and I was 19 at the time. It was summer, so he decided he wanted them to go out and have fun and leave the 65 rooms to me. I was already mad at that, but then it got worse. I get to about my 15th room, I'm exhausted, and I just want to get one more done so I can take a break. I knock on the door, no answer. So I let myself in only to see a man standing naked in the doorway. I apologize and try to leave when he calls me back. He said he wanted me to clean the room. I told him I couldn't while he was still there, and certainly not while he was naked. He said I had to do it, he was a guest. I go to my boss and explain why I wasn't cleaning that room. He told me I had to do what the customers said. If he wanted to be naked and in the room while I cleaned, then that's what had to happen. I threw my cleaning rag at him, told him to fuck off and left the rest of the rooms to him.
Boss not doing payroll before leaving on a business trip and leaving it to the poor office manager to tell people they weren't gonna get paid on time. I walked out of the staff meeting saying I'd be back when paychecks arrived. By the time I got home I was mad enough to call my ops manager back and quit. Why didn't the boss do payroll? Stated answer was printer toner cartridge at home was empty. Guess he'd never heard of writing checks with a pen. My printer ink is low so you don't get paid, okay bye. WTF. What a shit thing to do to people.
I worked on a farm throughout high school for a very wealthy couple. The husband was a successful commercial real estate agent, and the wife trained dogs to do hunt and field tests. I primarily worked for the wife assisting in training the dogs, but as it was a farm, I did various things for the husband as well. The husband was a raging alcoholic who would get pissed if you wouldn't share a drink with him when offered. When his wife was out of town participating in competitions with the dogs, I would have to drive over to the farm multiple times a day to feed the horses, clean out their stalls, etc., and I would often run into him, but I tried to avoid it when possible, because he made me uncomfortable anyway. I was like 17, and it was summer, so I accidentally slept through my 6 a.m. alarms one morning, and didn't get to the farm until around 8, to feed the horses and clean out their stalls. Not like it mattered, horses can't tell time. The husband was there and had already been drinking as I could smell it on him, and he started laying into me about being so late. He told me I was a poor white trash piece of shit, and if my parents let me oversleep for my job, then they're even worse white trash pieces of shit, and I would ever amount to anything just like them, yada yada. I told him he could take care of the horse shit himself, and that I quit, and as I was leaving he was yelling at the top of his lungs that he would find me and kill me. I never went back. Did he kill you? Been 4 hours. Up dead.
When I was in between jobs I applied to work a construction job that needed harness-trained people. I was just coming off working as a solar installer, so I figured I'd give it a shot. First day on the job they take me up to the top of their scaffolding section to clamp down beams. No biggie. I ask where their walkboards or scaffolding walks are for this floor, because all the other floors have walkways, whereas this one is just 1-inch beam, 3-foot gap, 1-inch beam all the way across, 100 plus feet in the air. They tell me they don't have any. Okay, I'll deal. After a few hours of grueling work I depleted my gallon jug of water and was getting dizzy. I called down to the elevator operator to bring me down. Without missing a beat he shouts climb and walks off to smoke a cigarette. I climbed down all 14 or so stories on angled beams with no harness while bordering on heat exhaustion. Walked up to the foreman, told him he was going to kill someone and it wasn't going to be me, and left. Edit. To all the commenters talking about reporting them to OSHA, I got the job via a friend of a friend and I couldn't even tell you the name of the place now. This was about 6 years ago. At the time I just wanted to be rid of them, but yes, I absolutely should have notified OSHA.
I started work in a bar in town and was told to be at work at 7 p.m. for my first shift, with the manager providing me with a typed timesheet showing my new working hours. Went home and had a cat nap. At 5 p.m. my new manager calls me asking where the hell I am and telling me I need to come in now. I referred him to my timesheet which stated I was to be in at 7 p.m., to which he told me, the timesheet doesn't fing matter, you do what I tell you. Hearing this I politely told him that I would not be in tonight or ever, good night, and went back to my cat nap. Good on you. Where the fuck do these people crawl up from? What did he expect? Based on numerous stories from people in the food industry, he may have expected his workers to sit around all day off the clock, just in case it got busy enough to have them work. I've also heard of waitresses being taken off the clock for 1 hour, so it's not even worth going somewhere else while they wait. And of course you can't work a second job if you need to be on call at any moment. I had a boss working retail who knew he probably had too much labor cost when it would be slow on weekday nights, so he'd gamble with us over something. We generally wanted the hours, so we usually didn't like getting cut early. If we won, we got paid to sit in the customer lounge area and do whatever for the rest of our shift. If he won, then he sent the person who'd been on the longest home. Or he would gamble with everyone when it was completely dead, with an option between watching a movie, with someone getting up if a customer comes in, and restocking cleaning.